name is Paul Joachim, T. John College of Pharmacy. I'm in my second year B.Pharm, and I'm here to present on the topic, cell injury. Now, before we go on, from the name cell injury, we can understand what it means. Cell, we know, is the structural and functional basic unit of life, unit of every organism. And for injury, it's a disruption in the normal functioning of the organism. So when we combine cell and injury together, we can give you a better definition. And then in this talk, I'm going to let you know the causes. I'm going to let you know the types of cell injury. First of all, by definition, cell injury is said to be an alteration or a change in the normal functioning of a living organism. So we have different types of cell injury. I'll give an example. When I was coming to college this morning, I had a little incident, a cut on my leg. And what happens when you have a cut on your leg? You have bleeding first, you experience dolor, pain, and then you experience inflammation. These are all the outward significance of cell injury. I'll tell you the causes of cell injury. First of all, we have to know hypoxia and ischemia. Hypoxia is said to be a reduction or decrease in the flow of blood to the tissues and organs of the living organism. Ischemia is related to hypoxia, but in the case of ischemia, there is an obstruction as a result of embolus or thrombi in the blood vessel, causing a decrease in the flow of blood to all tissues and organs of the living organism. We have another factor, another cause of cell injury, physical agent. Like the example I gave, for example, a mechanical accident in the mornings or some other time, when you have a cut, that's one cause of physical cell injury. Now we have mechanical accidents as one of the cause. We have thermal trauma. Thermal trauma could be as a result of electric shock. That could cause cell injury as well. Another factor or cause or etiology of cell injury is the chemical agent. In the chemical agent, we have one of the factors as strong acid or alkali. When you have a strong acid or strong alkali ingested into the human body, it's absorbed in the gastrointestinal tract, and then it causes cell injury. It causes necrosis, cell death. So we also have alcohol. Alcohol, which is one of the most intake liquid or in our communities, it's one of the causes of cell injury. So when you take alcohol, we experience necrosis or cell injury as a matter of that. We have another factor, another cause, microorganisms. Now we know microorganisms which include bacteria, virus, protozoa. These also can cause infection and an alteration in the normal cell functioning. We have aging. Now we know as human beings, when we grow, there is a result of replication. There's replication of cells in our body. But when we become older, the ability of our cell to replicate, to produce new cells is decreased. This is one of the causes of cell injury, aging. In the old age, you are unable to experience cell replication. Another point or cause of cell injury is malnutrition. Now we know in some part of the world where nutrition is unavailable, proper nutrition is unavailable, so we experience some form of protein deficiency, vitamins deficiency. When someone is deficit of vitamin C, it causes scurvy. Scurvy is as a result of a product of cell injury, and we have vitamin D deficiency also as well. Vitamin D deficiency causes rickets. All these are the causes of cell injury. Now, we will identify the types of cell injury. We should note that we have two major types of cell injury. First, reversible, and second, irreversible. In the case of reversible cell injury, a distortion or alteration or change in the normal functioning of a cell can be restored after the stimuli has been taken. So if there is we know that there are causes of cell injury. So in the case of reversible, when the external stimuli is taken away, the cell will return back to its normal function. That is the case of reversible. In irreversible, it is unable to be restored back to its normal function. In irreversible, it's more detrimental, it's more damaging than reversible. I'll explain the pathogenesis of reversible and the pathogenesis of irreversible for better understanding. When we talk about the pathogenesis of reversible cell injury, we can see some results. First, we have decrease in ATP. Decrease in adenosine triphosphate is one of the pathogenesis of cell injury. So when cell injury occurs, adenosine triphosphate is being decreased and adenosine monophosphate is increased. This is one of the causes of cell injury. Therefore, the mitochondria is unable to produce energy that is needed for the cell to function. In decreased pH, we know when we say decreased pH, we mean acidity of the cell. When a cell is suffering from acidosis, it means, I'll explain the pathogenesis. It means there's a decrease in ATP production. ATP production is decreased. AMP production, adenosine monophosphate, is increased. When AMP is increased, it causes the activation of phosphofructokinase, the enzyme phosphofructokinase. Phosphofructokinase causes the glycogen, that is the stored glucose in the liver, to convert to lactic acid. Now, lactic acid present in the cell causes cell injury. We have another factor here. As a result of the pathogenesis of reversible cell injury, the sodium pump damage occurs. The sodium pump damage, we know, is responsible for the outtake of sodium and the intake of potassium ions. So when it is damaged, it causes, when this channel, this pump is damaged, it causes hypernatremia, that is excess sodium ions, and it causes hyperkalemia, that is excess potassium ions. Now, that is the pathogenesis of reversible cell injury. When we talk about the pathogenesis of irreversible cell injury, which is very much more dangerous or permanent, we talk about number one, the loss of mitochondrial function. As a result of deposit of calcium ions on the mitochondrial matrix, we see the decrease in ATP production, we see the decrease in protein synthesis, we see a decrease in lipase synthesis, we see a decrease in phospholipids. This is one of the pathogenesis of irreversible cell injury. And then, furthermore, we experience the damage of plasma membrane. The plasma membrane, which is responsible for the covering or protection of the cell, is damaged. Why? Because the presence of phospholipase is being released during cell injury. Phospholipase are responsible for the destruction or damage of the plasma membrane. Now, in the case of loss of mitochondrial function and in the case of damage of plasma membrane, these are permanent. it cannot be restored. That is why it is called irreversible cell injury. And the last point here, in the pathogenesis of irreversible cell injury, we'll note hydrolysis. Now, hydrolysis are some of the enzymes that have been released that causes cell death. We have RNAs, we have DNAs, we have protease, we have glycosidase. All these enzymes are released as a result of cell injury, and then it causes cell death. This is the general overview of cell injury. Now, we understand clearly the definition of cell injury, and we were informed on the causes as well as the types. So cell injury is a topic in pathophysiology that is very important for every pharmacist to understand and apply in the field of study. Thank you so much.